sorry about that, folks. Just ran out of time there. Went over 8 minutes. Alright, so I left off of testing this thing with AC. We plug it in and it's okay. So again, you want to be careful of up in here underneath. It's all live when you plug it in. I have a nice wood bench here. That's not going to be a problem. A little bit of paper on here too. Make sure there's nothing underneath. And let's go over the schematic real quick, and I'll show you why that happened with the when we took the batteries out and it started working. All right, let's zoom in on the schematic. Okay, and there's two schematics here. There's one schematic with the unit without the battery, and here's the schematic with the battery. So we take a look here. We have our primary side, we have our secondary side. Our secondary side is is a full wave rectifier. We got a cap here, and here we go. Here's the battery. The battery, here's a fuse. The battery is being trickle charged all the time, so that it's floating. It has a voltage of 5 volts on here. That's 1 volt below 4 cells that are in series. These are 1.2. So let's see, 1.2 times 4. So 1.2 times 4, that's 8. That's 4.8 volts. So we're sitting at 5 volts here, and our cells are supposed to be around 4.8 volts or so. So that's okay. So what's happening is that these cells are shorting out. They're loading it down and causing that voltage to drop. So the inverter doesn't turn on, your 5 volts doesn't turn on, nothing happens. So this is the whole power supply here. We have our AC coming in, and we have this funny looking thing. This is our AC PCB. That's this guy that is right here. That's prevalent just with the battery units. And what that does is it's a current limit. So this is multi-regional for the voltage. So this could be at 120 volts. We can have it set for 240 volts, 50, 60 hertz. So what this does is it doesn't matter what the voltage is coming in. It's going to limit the current so it doesn't overcharge the batteries. And we have to replace this, the way that this is set up, we have to replace this with NiCad cells. If we use like a newer nickel metal hydride, we're going to cook those nickel metal hydrides, because they're not really made for this type of application where you have a constant float charge on here and it's trickle charging. So Ni, MH, oops, MH, we can't use that at all. So NiCad. So we have to stick with the NiCads here if we want to swap out the batteries. I'm going to check my time here. I got 4 minutes left, so that's good. So that's pretty good. So let's take a look at. I want to take a look under this cover here and see about what age this thing is at. So that's built very well. I really like the construction. The only thing I don't like, I don't know why, is they have the AC up here very close to our input switches, and I don't really like that. It's kind of, but you know, this is state-of-the-art back 30 years ago, and you know, they've done a lot of the safety stuff up here. They've heat shrunk all this stuff. So let's take a look at here. We got 79, 79, 80, 80, 80, 1980 40th week, 1980 33rd week, 79. So it looks like it was right around built maybe late 1980, maybe 1981, somewhere around there. And we have our two custom ICs here. These are pretty neat LSI chips. And there's not too much to it. I mean, you got a lot of through hole. Here's our oscillator on here. Here's our 10 megahertz crystal. This did have an option with a crystal oven, and I don't see where that would plug into. Not sure if you can just swap it out, or if it had a separate PC board for that. And let's flip over here. We have our data coming out here. So you have the optional data port, and look at revision W. So this went through quite a bit of revisions. So that's pretty much it on this. So that was a definite score on this one. 20 bucks, folks. I had a whole working. The only thing I have to do is just replace the NiCads, and it's up and working. I don't even have to replace these. You know, it'll work with just the AC alone. It's going to be fine. If we don't put the NiCad in, I even had some thought of putting in maybe some supercaps, a few farad capacitors in there. The battery runtime on this, I looked into the specs, is around 4 hours. So is the, you know, for back then 4 hours was quite a bit of time, but for nowadays, you know, that's not a lot. So I did find some NiCads online. I actually found some at Radio Shack, believe it or not. They still make them over in China primarily, and they're around $4 to $6 a piece. So you know, I'll have to replace these for. And if I'm going to replace these, I'm going to keep this absorption material in there, because that really saved this unit. Because I mean, look at it, it just got all crudted up. You know what, that stuff in there will eat right the traces right off. So that's definitely a score. Okay, see you later.